Welcome to TGS, Transform, Grow, Succeed. This podcast is about your work as a caring professional and the ideas we can share to elevate and expand what we can do to ensure that all those we serve get the best of what we have to offer. My name is Dr. Tim Gravoy. My pronouns are he, him, his, Executive Director of TGS Educational Consulting. I'm excited to introduce Stefanie Boe to the show. Stefanie Boe is passionate about storytelling. As a tourism and marketing manager for the town of Marana, Stefanie is creating a strategy to use story and video to attract visitors, residents, and new businesses to the fastest growing town in southern Arizona. It's an honor to work for the town that she grew up in and learn about economic development. A big believer in helping others tell their stories, Stefanie helped facilitate communication workshops for the Impact Leaders Program led by Dr. Kirsten Limesand for several years, coordinated and prepared Bayer speakers for U of A Cals and engineering colleges, and assisted with the Bayer Site Internship Program, which employed many U-Arizona students over the years. Stefanie also served the students, educators, and community of Tucson as a Senior Director of Communications and Media Relations for Tucson Unified School District after a nearly 20-year career as a television news producer and executive producer in Arizona and Colorado. She's a diehard Arizona Sun Devil living in Wildcat Country. Stefanie lives and breathes community engagement and serves as a board member for the American Heart Association for Southern Arizona and Treasures for Teachers of Tucson, and as a co-chair and volunteer for Project Graduation at Ironwood Ridge High School. Stefanie's husband teaches photography, and they have twin high school juniors and a college sophomore. She enjoys hiking, cactus, and just about everything about the desert. Stefanie, did I get that right?
You sure did.
Excellent. Hey, you've done a lot. It's really great to be able to share this. Well, Stefanie, I invited you onto the show today to talk about storytelling and specifically about how school principals and other school leaders might see themselves as storyteller in chief for their school community. And I'm wondering, Stefanie, could you tell us a bit more about what it means to be a storyteller at all and why a school leader might want to elevate their storytelling skill set?
Oh, yeah, Tim, I think this is the most powerful thing that a principal can have in their toolbox. Really telling the story of not only themselves as a leader, but their campus and their students and staff. And it can create magic that will set a campus apart. So, to be a storyteller, in my mind, that means we're being vulnerable, we're empathetic, and we're sharing our true, authentic selves. And helping other people see those things in themselves and the others around them. And I think that is what creates a campus culture that we all want to send our kids to, that every staff member wants to work in. And so telling stories is, in my opinion, the most important thing that a principal could do.
So as you think about that, that idea of storytelling, you use words like vulnerable and empathetic and things like that. And a lot of school leaders I know, I guess it really is their jam. That's exactly who they are inside and out. They absolutely desire nothing more than to create a connected sense of community. And you're seeing that it's the actual telling of the story itself, though, that's a big vehicle for creating that connectedness.
Yeah, I think when you're a storyteller, you're slowing down and you're thinking about what's coming out of your mouth, right? Like you're planning ahead. And so I think that is the thing that helps kind of bring your brain and heart together to say, I'm going to tell this story. I'm going to be really intentional and it's going to make me slow down, which I know is probably one of the hardest things for a principal to do. I know they're running, they're basically a CEO and they have one of the hardest jobs that I have ever encountered in my life and so appreciate everything they do. But they're, as a CEO, they're setting the tone for that entire campus. And so taking storytelling and putting it into the way you're setting your tone will just turn your whole campus around. I've seen it so many times.
Well, could you maybe tell us a little bit about, perhaps, do you have an example of that?
Yeah. So when I was in TUSD, we really got nitty gritty on telling stories. Like that was our actual way of kind of taking the veil away from the largest school district in Southern Arizona and helping people see inside and see inside the heart of the district. And that was a pretty big feat, 89 schools and programs, thousands of students. But we were super successful because we really did just take away everything else and just talk about the people. And
Mhm.
so when I think a principal, I'm thinking about success stories of students, success stories of their staff, highlighting that janitorial staff who overcame something really big and highlighting that for people, for the community, for the kids. It's just a powerful tool. So I can think of many times over the years I had a great experience with a janitor who he had worked at the same campus for 20 years, and he knew the ins and outs of that campus and telling the story of his legacy that he was leaving behind. And again, that's not something that we shed a light on enough, right? The janitors doing so much, the custodial crew, and highlighting them and saying, look, every person on this campus is important. I think that is just so powerful.
Mhm. And so it makes a lot of sense. The idea of just kind of taking a look around at what's good, I guess. I would really it's just, it sounds as simple as that. It's just kind of go like this. And yeah, for those of I just kind of turn my head from side to side. Is just look at what's happening at within your school community that you want people to know about, and then just saying those words in English in that order and in every other language that people might need to hear, and just telling the truth.
100% telling the truth. And I know sometimes it can feel really daunting, right? Like there could be some things on your campus you're not proud of or happy about, and you're
Mhm.
working hard to change. And part of public relations is highlighting, putting the spotlight on the good things, right? Oftentimes I would get called like a spin master and things like that, and I'm like, no, what I'm doing is highlighting the very best because it helps correct the other things that might be going wrong. And that is the way to go. Like your chief public relations officer for your school too.
What I'm hearing is that you had a lot of times where you were called a spin master, or you're kind of cherry picking good things and without telling the truth about all the other stuff that's going on. But it could also be that if you're in a situation where you've been labeled a D school by somebody you don't even know for reasons that you've got zero control over whatsoever, and you're working super duper hard to change, that is also important to know that is growth happening. There are students who are learning. There are students who are achieving. There are students who are doing amazing things, and there are adults who are helping make that happen. And that's also something that people have a right to know.
Absolutely. And I think that, again, it's that power of storytelling. I remember my very first day on the job with TUSD, the letter grades came out and we had an F school. And I was able to listen to all of the good things that the school principal and some district leaders were telling me about that school. I was able to turn that negative story into a positive story with local media because I brought to the table all those positive things. So, yes, we acknowledge we have an F, but let me tell you about all of these other things that are happening that are not even part of how we measure school success. Like, that is an easy way to take something and turn it on its head
Mhm,
because you've got it. Every school has fantastic stories inside.
mhm. Well, I think what would be really interesting then is what do you think? How do principals go about finding those stories? Like, what do
Talk
they
to
do?
people.
Talk to people.
Talk to people. Yes. I mean, I think that's talk to people and listen to them. In
Mm,
addition to being a storyteller, I really say to myself that I'm a good listener.
mhm,
I like to sit and hear what people are talking about, ask them more questions, tell me more, and just listen to those little things that maybe they're not even thinking are really cool stories, right? But you can see in their face that that was a magic moment for them. So how do you draw that out? How do you help yourself get the elements of a story, a beginning, a middle, and an end, so that you can tell it back, right? Or you can help them tell it better. And
mhm,
then really looking for the photography too,
mm.
or even video moments. Those can be stories too, because it's something unexpected, something really beautiful, anything that evokes, that heart response. That's a story.
And just thinking about it is that most principals, they're going to be walking their campus at least once or twice a day. That's they're talking to people constantly, all the time. And we'll talk a bit more about this later on. But a thing that I'm thinking about is I haven't met a whole lot of principals who tell me that they've got gobs of extra time. And so, hey, by the way, I also need you to be think of yourself as the media director for your school too. Again, it's probably not the best way of going about the, hey, no, storytelling, good. But perhaps just thinking about, you are telling the story anyway. You may as well get good copy and good photos for it while you're at it, and you just take that cell phone with you and make sure that you've got an opportunity to share those beautiful things that are happening as you're walking around.
Absolutely. I think one of the things that I really was a champion of, again, during my time in the district, was
Mhm,
empowering other people too. Obviously, this principal cannot do everything on their own. And
mhm,
so, how are they maybe bringing in more people on staff who everyone is busy, right? But if everyone could do one story the school year, that's 12, 13 stories you could do throughout maybe even more if you've got
mhm.
a large campus. So, how do you equip them to be storytellers? And again, you're elevating them as people on your staff because you're bringing around trust and saying, "Hey, I trust you to find the stories. Let's do this together." And it becomes a team effort versus just the principal. And it gives you a good chance to get other voices in there and really get their buy-in too.
Yeah, we tend to support things that we've helped create. So it's this is
Absolutely.
beautiful, beautiful, beautiful thing to think about as we get started with this idea of storytelling. Well, let's take a quick break, and when we come back, let's talk more about what actually has to happen, like brass tacks, actual skills that we got to do. What words in what order, what photos do I need to get? What has to happen for school leaders to become great storytellers, and what you, Stephanie, think might be a good way for a school principal to get started. Looking for your next desert adventure? Build your bucket list at discovermarana.org. The town of Marana, Arizona is close to everything, but far from ordinary. Wide open spaces, they have that. A luxury resort nestled into the mountains, they have that. Hiking, biking, birding, they have that too. An 80 armed saguaro nearby, yep, they have it and can show you where to find it. Get to know Marana, Arizona at discovermarana.org. Welcome back. So, Stephanie, we've been talking about storytelling and how storytelling might be an underutilized toolbox for school leaders. And I agree with you 100%. But I'm also going to be real with you. I work with principals, superintendents, and CEOs of school systems all over the state, and I'm not finding one that's got gobs of extra time. And some don't even have any formal communication support through their district. If it all came down to maybe just one or two simple do it every day storytelling tasks, how might you support a busy school leader in telling their school story a bit more effectively?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, social media and storytelling can be a daunting task. And, being in a new role, I'm learning new things. I'm now in tourism. I was in education. I am really feeling that need to simplify and really get down to what are those couple of things that I need to focus on as a storyteller to make sure that I'm going to get really good at it. And then I can kind of grow from there. So, one of the things I'm really thinking about in my current role and in my past roles are what is the secret sauce. So every principal needs to know what the secret sauce is for their campus, just like every business leader needs to know that for their business, every corporation needs to know. It kind of gives you that foundation that you need. And so if you wanted to say kick off next school year with something like this with your campus, you could go through and do a strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. It's called SWOT. And I think it's used in education pretty widely, but it gives you a chance to sit down together and lay those things out. What are our strengths?
Mhm,
And what are the opportunities that we have? And then you could maybe pick just a couple of things from that strengths list and start looking for those stories, and they will just start coming out everywhere for you. I mean, now that I'm in tourism, I am finding tourism like in every magazine I read, and it's on Facebook, and so it just starts to come out because you're looking for it.
mhm,
And that is where you can say, okay, I'm only going to look for stories in these couple of categories, and they will come to you. And from there you can grow. You can say, okay, I can add this other strength. I can reevaluate. And then the other thing to do with that is once you have that secret sauce and you've sort of made your plan, what's the most comfortable tool for you to use. Like
Mhm.
you already use it. Don't go try to learn something new. If you like Instagram, focus on Instagram for a little while. If you like Facebook, start there. But don't go and try to reinvent the wheel. I know everybody has a strength in their, in their personal life at this point. If it's email, like you really like doing email newsletters, start there. Like that's do what's comfortable for you and it will just start to build.
I really love that idea. Just both parts of that idea, honestly. Just the first part is, just think about that secret sauce of your school, the thing that you already love about being principal of the place that you're principal at, and then just look for stuff that's happening that shows why, that demonstrates that thing that you already see. Basically, all you're doing is just telling the truth about it and letting somebody else know. And then the other side of that is you don't need to start a blog if you didn't have a blog already. You don't need to start a Facebook page if your school didn't have one.
Yeah, and I think going one step further with whatever platform that is, if it's social media, asking your staff and teachers to start sharing
Mhm.
what's posted. I think it's a really powerful opportunity that so many people miss is to just ask the people who are a stakeholder in this, can you please share some things that you're proud of? And that will help amplify and gain followers for whatever platform you've decided to use. And so I say that a lot to people, like just ask.
I'm almost imagining how you could even start a staff meeting that way. Hey, PTA just posted this thing on Facebook. It'd be great if you felt like you could share that kind of thing.
Absolutely.
Let's
Yes.
do it now if you'd like. Take out your cell phones now and share that thing if that's something you feel comfortable doing.
Absolutely. That made me think of another really fun opportunity for a principal is those selfies you can take in front of a group, right? Where you're like,
Oh yes.
you know, it's such a vulnerable moment as the person that's taking the picture, right? Like you're like, I might look pretty stupid, but you know what? It's again, it's that vulnerability. You're putting yourself in the situation with your team. You're so proud of them. You want to be in one of those pictures with them. And again, it's kind of that raw, that's what people want to see.
That is true. I always love it when I see those kind of photos myself too. Is It's
Yeah.
really neat to see and neat to watch. And yeah, and it really is kind of easy. Here I am at the awards assembly. Like here I am at fifth grade promotion. Here I am at our staff meeting talking about whatever it is. We don't really need to invent brand new content. The content is this. We're literally living it out loud. We're living the content out loud, and it's just a matter of telling the truth about it to folks who might care. Uh,
Yeah.
yeah. So it is kind of interesting and super simple to be able to do. Well, let's go ahead and take a break then. And when we come back, we'll have a final thought from Stefanie on how school leaders can become better storytellers and why that matters. Hi there, this is Dr. Tim, and I'm inviting you to save June 19th through the 23rd 2023 here in Tucson, Arizona, because we're going to be having PBIS multi-tiered system of support training. And just so you know, I want to share that this is not a trainer of trainers workshop. TGS Educational Consulting doesn't offer trainer of the trainers workshops because they really don't work. However, if you've been told that you're in charge of PBIS for school, or your district, and the last time you had a training was A, never, or B, more than 10 years ago, you will leave our week able to lead professional learning at your site based on your site's unique context. Or maybe you're on your school's PBIS team and you're wondering if there is more to PBIS than just tickets and posters. Well, there is, and you're going to leave with a comprehensive knowledge base to support the rest of PBIS at your site. You've probably heard that PBIS has multiple tiers, and you might even be pretty sure that your school stopped at Tier 1. Attending this training will help you build connections between levels of PBIS implementation and start your action planning process effectively. Join us June 19th through 23rd in Tucson, Arizona. Check out the link to sign up. Welcome back, Stefanie, and it's been great to talk to you today. And just thank you to everybody for your patience with my intermittent baldness. I'm not exactly sure what's going on here, but I'm just going to roll with it and enjoy. But we'll just roll with it right now. So, given all the ground we've covered, I guess some important ground that we haven't covered yet is actually what do you do at Marana?
Oh, yes. Thank you. I absolutely am in love with my new role with the town of Marana. You mentioned at the top that we're the fastest growing city in this area, and I am so proud to be part of this next chapter for the town. So, tourism and marketing manager is my role, but I kind of like to think of myself as the biggest cheerleader for the town that there is. And I had been all along. I've lived here most of my life and I'm raising my kids here. Absolutely love this community. And so, what I'm finding in these first couple months on the job is how many people don't know what's in their own backyard.
Mm.
So, again, I'm thinking about what's our secret sauce? What is it that we're selling to tourists? And while I'm doing that, I really want to educate sort of the bullseye, right? Everybody who lives here should know what they have
Mhm.
and then kind of work from there. What do we need to attract visitors and tourists to our community? And so we have a lot of like really big plans, super exciting, and just happy to be part of this community.
But I think what I love about what you're talking about the job is number one, it's just I love talking to you about things because you clearly love this. You really
Mhm.
do love storytelling, and it shows. And telling the story of the place that you grew up in, it must feel great. And then the other side of it is really you just modeled for us essentially what you think principals could really do too. It's just what is it? What do you love about your school already? What do you already love about your school? And just talk about that. Go find photos about that. Go find students who will tell you more about that. Go find the staff and the parents who are going to tell more about that. The volunteer from the church around the corner who wants to talk, who's always there, good as gold every single week. Definitely has a story or two that matches what you love about your school too, and it would be a really great thing to share. I'm wondering, but kind of based on all the ground that we covered today, and just in this idea of thinking of principals thinking of themselves as their school's chief storyteller, what final thought might you have for us today?
Yeah, I definitely think that once the principals that I worked with, like really got excited and I helped get them excited about this process, I think once they kind of locked in and engaged, they realized that this was probably one of the best things that they could do for not only for themselves, but for their staff. I think we're all facing the reality that teachers are just, they're hard to come by, they're burned out. You probably are as a principal too, right? But as a manager of these people, you need to lead them, and telling their stories in this powerful, positive way is the way to keep them on your campus. And that's, as a parent of kids, that's what I want too. I want our teachers to feel valued along with all the other staff, so they keep doing what they're doing and helping create this next generation of leaders that we absolutely must have for our country to be successful. My husband's a teacher, so he just got this book bag that says teachers, the profession that is the basis of all professions, right? Or without this profession there's nothing else possible. And
Mhm.
so you are one of the most important people in this whole country, and thinking of yourself as one of those people who has that, burden, but also this privilege of sharing these stories, I think is a way to kind of switch it in your head, right? The stories cannot stay on your campus, because if we keep our things just kind of tight around ourselves, we don't create those champions and cheerleaders in the communities that we absolutely must have to be successful.
And we lend the storytelling voice to people who probably we'd rather not have it. And that could be, it seems to me
Yes.
like another thing that we think about is that wouldn't it be nice to offer our teachers and families and students something else to listen to, something that might actually reflect what their experience is every single day, rather than
Absolutely.
an assumption about it.
Absolutely. You hit the nail on the head with that, Tim, because if you don't tell your story, someone else will tell it for you,
Mhm.
and it will not be the story you want told. So I think if there's any way to simplify it to help yourself kind of lock in and go and get successful, use the teachers and staff on your campus or maybe even your family as a sounding board. Don't do it alone. It's a collaborative effort, and I think if you do it alone, you're going to fail because you're setting yourself up, to fail. So bring in those partners. They want to help you. They want to do this. They want to be asked.
Yeah. Well, Stephanie, I'm just so grateful for you to be on the show today, thank you for sharing your experience with our listeners. To our listeners, I hope you enjoyed our show, and I hope you reach out to me or Stephanie with your thoughts in our conversation. Stephanie, is there an email or a website that you'd like folks to reach out to you at?
Yeah, absolutely. I'm on LinkedIn and I'm very
Okay.
active there. So I'll get your message if you send me one, or go ahead and send me a request there. Happy to connect with you. And I'm Stephanie with an F, and my last name is Boe. Some people say it's Bowie, but it's Bo. I'm not as cool as Bowie.
Well, this is good, which is good to know for sure. So you can find Stephanie on LinkedIn there. Again, Stephanie with an F, Boe is the last name for sure. And then you can find me at www.tgseducationalconsulting.com. And if you're a school leader and you're experiencing some success with storytelling, I'd love it if you'd let me know by dropping a comment below the video. Until next time, everyone, may you have as many opportunities to be as good, generous, and kind with yourself as you are with those who you serve.